Oh, now I'm unmuted. Ha ha ha. Welcome to the call. Good evening. Hope everyone is doing well. Looks uneven. I think it's okay. Oh, hi, Justin. Hi, Justin. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, doing well. Just trying to get it over onto my laptop here.
Okay. Well, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
We're going to kick off at 6:02. Got it. I do not own the rights to this music. Okay. So, like I said, we'll be kicking off at 6:02. You got everything, you got what I need. Touch me, you're electric, babe. Move me, take me from this place. Moving to the tempo, showing me what it takes. Speeding up my heartbeat, playing in the flames. Hi, Miss Allen. Welcome to the call. Are you muted?
Oh, now
I'm like, I see your lips
forgive
a
me.
bit.
How are you?
Good, nice to see you.
I'm doing well, thank you. So I'm just giving you a heads up. I started my reading. I'm not caught up, but
Okay.
I started doing my other reading.
Okay.
And I don't want to jump on the call and like hear what you guys have to say and you know what I mean, and not be able to really contribute. So do you want me to stay on or you want me to jump on once I get caught up?
I mean, I would like for you to be on the call. That I look forward to. I think it'll
Can
make.
you repeat that?
I said I think being on the call will at least excite you to get your reading done.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, we'll
Sounds good. Want some more cake? You look beautiful as always.
Oh, thank you, beautiful princess. You look beautiful as well. I went hiking today.
What happened?
I went hiking today.
How am I doing?
Oh no, I said I went hiking There.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was nice.
Cool.
And then
Okay.
Michael is on the line. He said he's driving, so he doesn't know if he'll be able to use his phone, but he wants to be on the phone.
Okay.
Michael, can you at least say hi to everybody?
Who said hi?
Michael.
E-Rollers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who's the gentleman that made this comment?
That's Justin.
Justin. Hi, Justin. Thank you for your comment. All right, I'm gonna mute my call because I'm here with my family. So I'm gonna mute it until you start.
Okay, no problem, beautiful. We're starting in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Hi, Mac.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
Good. Good.
Well, welcome to the call. Happy Sunday, everyone. Hope all of you had an incredible week and hope it's been very profitable. And I hope that your reading has gone extremely well. Quick question, Mac, did you have a chance to do your reading?
Yes, I did.
Okay, awesome. And Justin, did you have a chance to do your reading? Yes? Okay, awesome. All right, so I think we're all, everyone that's been participating at the highest level is actively here. So I'm just gonna jump into it and kind of go over. So quick question, I'm gonna start with you, Mac. I know that you did the reading. So in particular, what was it that caught your attention, or what are some of the major like takeaways that you've had from your reading?
Let's see here. Two things stuck out to me. It was the thing when they said fears allow our brains to stagnate. So fears can hold you back and you can't progress as well.
You said fears?
Fears.
Oh, fear. Got it.
Yeah, fear, sorry.
Got it.
Yeah, so that was interesting to read. Even though I'm like, I already knew that on, on a certain level.
Now I can't hear you.
The other part was how he described how two people had a common background in cars, but one.
Can't hear you.
One sec.
Okay. Justin, do you want to go in the meantime?
Yeah, so I took a lot of notes.
Me too.
So like with Harmony, I thought he made a lot of good points about how stress impacts like the digestive system and can lead to ill health. Those are things that even nowadays people are really putting a lot of emphasis into. And it's definitely one of the things that we pay a lot of attention to in the military about how it impacts our overall welfare. And we teach resilience in order to counteract that before a person gets to the point where they're potentially suicidal because of stressors, or even just falling into a depressive cycle. We try to teach the resilient skill sets so that they can learn to overcome that. So I just thought that was really interesting at how early on he was able to identify that.
Interesting. Were there any other major takeaways or things that really stood out to you?
Education versus knowledge. I just kind of wrote it as street smart versus book smart. I've known some really educated individuals who got a lot of schooling and were still not very intelligent when it came to decision making and people skills and time management, a lot of other things. Just because you go to school and get an education or a degree doesn't make you intelligent or smart.
That's true. I think that's a really good takeaway. And are you also in chapter 2?
Yeah, I got all the way up to what you had. What was the bookmark?
Alliance?
Yep, I stopped at Alliance.
Okay, perfect. So I think singleness of purpose is essential for success. I thought that was powerful. A lot of times I'm very guilty of putting more on my plate sometimes than I can properly handle, or I feel like that I can actually get done. So one of the things I've been working on myself prior to even reading that was just like streamlining my schedule and really just taking the time to block out. Like I'm going to focus only on this one task this week until it's done. And then when this is done, then I'm going to move on to B, because I can't do B if I don't get A done. And so I think that singleness of purpose is huge. I love that he talk about identifying the definite chief aim. He also goes over you should be engaged in the business of training for success in the battle of life. And I loved how he talked about the different faculties of the mind, and like, yes, you want to focus on one thing, but he talked about like being a bodybuilder, and how even being a bodybuilder, like you have to focus on your legs, obviously, to focus on your arms, you have to focus on your nutrition. Like there's multiple facets to being a bodybuilder. It's not just one thing. So I think that sometimes people can get caught in that yes, the singleness of purpose, but you still have to take care of everything else around you without dropping the ball. So I thought that was really powerful. And then he says, did you guys have the list of books that he recommended? They were like journals. I know Mac and I are on the same book, so it's 127 for us, but he talks about journaling and he gives a list of different books to journal. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I know for me, like I do bullet journaling for work, which is completely different because, well, I wouldn't say completely different because I have it and I always have my notebook with me. And anytime something comes up, like, if I'm in a meeting or we're having discussions and something comes up and it jars my memory or it's a good idea, I write it down, whether it's an idea or a task or an appointment or whatever, everything goes in my journal.
That's impressive. Wow. How long have you been doing that, out of curiosity?
3 years.
Let me ask you, before you did that and now doing it, have you noticed a difference in your performance?
Yes, it definitely helps me because I have ADHD. So it helps me to be able to go back. And I upgraded. I don't know if you guys use Facebook, but the commercials for the Remarkable notepad, it's
Oh,
like an electronic pad, but it feels like you're writing on paper. So I got that. And now I can search any of my notes
oh,
so that if I don't have to sit there and flip through like 250 pages of bullets that I've written down to try and find what I was doing, and I break it down by months and I move everything forward. But
wow.
with this, I can just search it, so it's really quick. So if I'm like, oh yeah, I remember during that meeting we talked about that. Let me see what notes I took on it. I can just go right back to it.
Remarkable notebook. I'm gonna have to look that up. Thank you for
Expensive. It's expensive though. I'm not even gonna lie.
Hey, it's worth it, especially if you
Yeah,
take a lot of notes.
yeah, and
And
that's what I'm
it's
reading
gonna
on
be easier.
too.
Oh,
So
really?
like, yep, I just downloaded the PDF onto here. So that's all it does. It doesn't have any apps. It doesn't go to the internet, so you stay away from your distractors. It's all it is. It's PDF reader and a note taking device.
Wow, that's pretty dope. Okay. Mac, I saw your face popped up on the screen, sir. Are you back with us?
Yeah, sorry about that. Somebody got in a car accident and needed a number from me real quick.
Are you okay? Is everyone good?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Yes.
So, what were some of your key takeaways?
All right. So the other thing I was explaining was that the fact that they said two guys had two backgrounds in cars, and one was able to get ahead, and the other one just stayed where he was. That was part because they didn't have any organized. What's the word I'm thinking here? Organized
Nice effort, organized
effort.
power.
Organized effort was a 0, and his was a higher one. So yes.
And
So my question. So my question do y'all believe that if a salesperson goes to one company to another, would he be successful at both companies, or is it because of his knowledge of the product?
Okay, that's a good question. Who would like to answer first? Do you want me to go first, or who wants to go with?
So
Go ahead.
I'll answer. Um, So what I really got from that and just seeing kind of other things is when a person has those skill sets of being able to reach out, even if they don't know all the information, but they know that they don't have the information, right? And I think that's a big uh, piece of information an individual needs to know about them as their blind spots. Like, where do they lack knowledge? Where do they lack capabilities? You know, he's not a machinist, he's not a chemist, he's not whatever, and he knows that he needs to reach out to those individuals. So he could go to any enterprise and say, okay, I don't know these things, and so I need to find people who are smart in that, and those are the people that I need on my team, and I'm going to reach out to for these specific aspects. And so it's just being aware of what you don't know.
Okay, I love that. I'm gonna say I have to agree. I think that if someone has a skill set or they have a skill at something, like if they're a really good salesman, it doesn't make a difference where you put them because they're bringing themselves. I don't think that obviously a better run organization or team obviously is a huge facilitator to success. But if you are a phenom, like I've known people that were incredible salesmen and you could put them anywhere and just based on who they were, how they knew how to interact and talk to people, it didn't really make a difference what you gave them. They were just going to produce, they were going to perform at the highest level because that's just who they were. And they had already learned the necessary essentials in order to be successful at that. So that would be my final answer. Miss Ursula, I know that you know, said that, obviously, you didn't get to do the reading to the level that you would like to, but I think that without doing the reading, you can pretty much chime in and just give your opinion on that question.
So yeah, I kind of agree with what you said, Lola. Like, if somebody has a skill set, you can pretty much put them anywhere, and they can more than likely produce in the same level in a similar industry. So I agree.
That question, um, did we answer the question in totality?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got cut out again.
Okay.
So I did not hear their responses.
Okay, well, thank God for video playback because
Yes, I'll go back about that. Somebody called me.
I'm a week behind on uploading my video. I'll have last week's video and this week's video up tonight before I go to sleep, I promise. It really doesn't take that long, but I gotta click buttons and stuff. I'm not techie, so I just click stuff until it works for me. So one day I'm gonna get this down and it's gonna be perfect, okay? Okay, so awesome. And then did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask us, Matt?
No, not at the moment, no.
Okay. So let's see. Humility is the forerunner to success. He goes over that. I really liked when he talked about studying people. Did you guys get into that part of it? And I have a question. I mean, have you guys studied people? Like, he talks about posture, the way they walk, tone of voice, pitch, eye shift, the words they use, then watch them when they're angry and love, when money, trouble. Like he just goes over all of these different aspects of the human experience and really like learning to study the human animal. Justin, have you, and I mean, I know you're military, so I'm pretty sure, obviously I don't know, I don't have any military background, but I'm pretty sure that you guys get trained on things like that. Would you say that it's helped or have you used it before? And has it been helpful for you in studying people?
So my job in the military, if you didn't know, was a police officer.
Oh, okay.
Same as
Well,
Mike. He hasn't ever told you guys that he was a cop in the Air Force. And but one of the things that we do, obviously, is investigations, and so we learn to read people to be able to see if they're telling lies, and a lot of it, is body posture, tone of voice, how they trail off at the end. And when someone's lying, they tend to trail off at the end. Their tone of voice softens because they're mentally they're not telling the whole truth and they know it. So yeah, a lot of indicators on people, and then plus doing interviews for jobs. We hire within our squadrons for different positions, and so we do interviews and talk to people, and we base a lot of that off of what is their How well do they hold themselves? How do they project themselves? And do they have the confidence to be able to execute certain duties when they might have to tell somebody what to do, even if that person outranks them by a lot?
Oh, wow. Oh, well, that's interesting. Mr. MacArthur, sir.
Well, what was the question again?
Have you, like he talks about the body language and all those things, have you, in your experience, have you studied people? And if so, how has it been helpful or effective for you?
Not in a professional setting, but as a dating, it comes in
Okay.
handy. First date or something, when you first meet somebody and you're not sure of their intentions, their body language can give them away or point you in the right direction. So those are definitely times like when you are talking to women that you're constantly looking at their body movements and trying to read them.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
don't really need to go in more detail in that, but yes.
Got it. Miss Ursula.
I would say, yes, in my years of working as a preschool teacher, you have to kind of, I don't want to say be mentored, but like my early years in the field, I was obviously watching other people, how they interacted with the kids and how they implemented lessons and stuff like that. So it was really helpful, and it allowed me to kind of pick and choose what I wanted to use and what I didn't want to use. So, there's always advantages and disadvantages to what you see when you are watching people.
That makes sense. So years ago, I used to have this peculiar habit where I would go places and I would just sit down and I would just watch people. I really don't know why I did it, but I just like to watch people interact with each other. So I would go to the park or I would go to a beach or somewhere public and I'd be completely alone. And I'd bring a notebook usually, and I would take notes and I'd watch parents interact with their children. I would just watch people's body language, their facial expressions. We go all been to the zoo, I'm sure, and animals are very interesting, but the human animal to me is the most interesting animal of all. Um, we have so much emotion, and it's interesting to see people enraged. I don't know if you've ever been with people. Obviously, I'm sure we've all had experiences of dealing with people in different emotional states. And really, I mean, it's crazy because you can really affect other people's emotional state so much by your state, even if they're completely enraged or happy or sad. Your emotions affect so many people. And I think that if you learn to master your own emotions, and he talks about that, really learning to master yourself. And by learning to master yourself, you're able to interact with the animals around you, people, a lot more effectively and efficiently. So I thought that was super huge. And he said the best place to study the human animal is in your own mind by taking accurate account of the inventory of yourself. When you know yourself, you will know others. Uh, and I know I've spent a lot of time doing personal development and reading specifically for that reason, psychology. So, is there any books that you guys have read on learning yourself that you feel would be beneficial or that made a huge difference in your own life? Ms. Ursula, I'm going to start with you actually.
My apologies. Can you repeat the question, please, Lola?
So, personal development, it's a huge thing for us. And so, what book, if you had to name one book that you've read that helps you understand yourself significantly better?
One book that I've read that
Helps you understand yourself better.
Well, I'm not a big reader of physical books, but I do like audios.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so I would say audios. I really like the Girl Wash Your Face. That was a good one.
Girl, Wash Your Face. I'm gonna write that down for myself.
Rachel Hollis. And it's so funny. I was at the thrift store yesterday, and I happened to find her other book, Girls Stop Apologizing, and I've actually listened to that one on audio as well. So I would have to say that book. I couldn't probably tell you any details that I pulled from it, but Michael is actually the one that recommended that to me. So it was a great read, not read, but a great.
Speaking of Michael, he chimed in. He said the book that changed his life was, or changed his mental state was The Power of the Subconscious Mind. One. And then Mac, what about you?
Life of a Hacker. I
Life
want
of
to say,
a Hacker.
yeah, it's the story about how a guy, I have to remember the correct title. It's like hacker or wall hacker, whatever. So a guy who had no knowledge in computers, he demonstrated how he had a passion for learning computers and like learn how things work. And so he showed him how he self-taught and how to learn computers and how to hack. So he goes through the process, his life story, how he got to these different points and milestones in his hacking, and also show the downfalls of hacking and legal trouble. And so pretty much it's a story of success. He craved the knowledge and he did what he had to do to get the knowledge. And then he was able to organize the knowledge nicely and use it wisely.
Interesting. Justin, sir.
So I don't have any books, but a lot of kind of what the discussion's been about and what he was talking about is very close to what's called mindfulness. And mindfulness is kind of observing yourself without judgment to see how maybe you reacted to a situation during the day, or how you felt about certain things, and then realizing where you maybe did something that was out of character or that you don't want to do anymore. Maybe you had an aggressive reaction to something, or you lacked patience with your children, and that's not how you wanted to behave. You want more patience, then you can see that. And when you find yourself in that position again, you try to exercise patience.
So you have a very intuitive clock. Do you constantly like assess your own personal behavior?
Yeah, and a lot of that comes, I teach resilience for the Air Force. And so a lot of that comes from my training, is just to take that pause, that time later and say, okay, this is not how I wanted to handle that situation. And figure out what my triggers were, what really upset me. Was it their behavior? Was it something else? And then try to resolve those things so that they no longer are present to cause a negative reaction that, I don't want to have present.
That's beautiful. So my two books would be Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. I used to have really bad depression when I was younger, and he talks about NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, how to rewire the network of your brain. And it really worked for me dramatically. And the other one is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. This book is something I read recently, but after even years of doing readings, it was still a lot of really great things and content in the book that I found to be eye-opening. So those were two of my, I would say, larger paradigm shift books that I was able to read. And then, okay, we talked about studying posture. Though these open windows, you may literally walk. Oh, so he pretty much talks about like once you master the ability to read people, it says through these open windows, like their posture, their eyes, all of those things, you literally are able to walk right into a person's soul and take a look at the real human being. I thought that was extremely powerful. Go into studying them. Talks about anger, love. I'm just going through my notes. Open mind. So I thought that was really important. And I love that I'm like Dora the Explorer when it comes to food. There's nothing I'm down to, like, I'm going to try it. I don't care what it is. I don't care how nasty it looks. I don't care how it smells. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is that it's something new that I've never experienced before and I want to try it, right? Because like in my mind, I think to myself, what if I love this? Like, what if I had been born in a different country? What if I had been born a different ethnicity? What if my parents were culturally enriched? Just because it wasn't in my experience doesn't mean that it's not something that is valuable or something that I'm going to love. And because of that, I've found so many incredible foods. And he talks a little bit about food, ironically. And I love that he said for every 10 people who are physically lazy, there are 10,000 people that are mentally stagnant. And so when you take that into account, like the power of what we're doing here, most people are lazy, right? Like, and I don't mean that to be rude or disrespectful. All of us make choices, right? And so most people make the choice to do nothing. And so they're not enriching their mind. They're not adding new value to themselves, because all that changes for us is the places that we go, the books we read, and the people that we interact with. And if we're not constantly expanding that circle and seeking and sucking in new ideas and new information, then we lose the most powerful thing that we have, which is our mind. And so being open-minded really is the most incredible gift that we can have. So I'm going to ask you guys, what's something that you've done where you might have been closed-minded originally, and then you became open-minded and that changed your experience? Or are you closed-minded and unwilling to receive new ideas or information? Like, how would you judge yourself? Would you say that you're someone that's open-minded, or would you say that you're someone that's more closed-minded? On a scale from 1 to 10, where would you put yourself? And then what experiences have you had to open you? And what are you maybe still unopen to that might be able to help you? So I'm going to go with Mac first.
I would probably give myself a 7.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's some times when I think I'm so right, ego gets in the way that you just can't hear the other person's view. And then sooner or later, you have to remind yourself, okay, let me have an open mind. So, but sometimes that doesn't happen right off the back. So, I'll give myself a 7 when it comes to looking, receiving information, seeing different views of things, and trying to expand my horizon, which I would say. What was part 2 of the question?
Is there an experience that you had where you were initially closed-minded and then you became open-minded? And how did that, what was the shift in your perspective?
Let's see here. No, let's see. I don't want to go politics. So
Please
um,
don't.
yeah. So thinking here.
You want me to give you a second?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay. I'm gonna go with you, Miss Ursula.
So I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm an 8.
An 8.
Yeah, I'll say an 8.
Okay, well, I want to hear this.
Well, I try my best. I would say the most probably judgmental person that I'm with, that I seem to be with, is my daughter. And I think that's because I raised her. She's sitting here looking at me now like, you can say that again. We're doing a training right now. But outside of that, for the most part, I try to be open-minded when it comes to like hearing people out and just being like a listening ear for people, and try not to be judgmental towards, whatever their beliefs are in terms of, beliefs, or how they feel about certain stuff. As far as, I would say, probably over the last maybe 7 years, I feel like I've been a little bit more open in terms of food, because I was very picky about certain foods. And I'm kind of the complete opposite of you, though. If stuff doesn't look good, and I just, sometimes I'm just like, no, I can't do it. I'm not taking any chances. But and then what was the last question about?
Have you had an experience that you were closed-minded and then became open-minded, and what was that shift like for you?
No, I try to be open to any and everything. I may not always take action on it necessarily, but I'm never really violently opposed to stuff that people tell me, especially if I know it's going to benefit me. I try to keep an open mind about everything.
Mr. Justin there.
So number, I guess a 7. But honestly, I try to be very open-minded to other people's differences and thoughts and inputs. I may not agree with it, but it doesn't mean that I don't hear it out. And I really do try and understand where the other person's coming from. You know, and especially with this year, with everything that's going on in the nation, we've had a lot of really open discussions at work because we wanted those discussions to happen. So I facilitated discussions on racism, systemic racism within the nation and even within the military. And, you know, honestly, I didn't feel that it was as bad in the military. But during the discussions, I heard some stories that were very shocking. I know some stuff that had happened, you know, but as many cases of the systemic side of it, it was very eye-opening, and just how people felt they were passed over for jobs when they were more qualified, and they really did feel it was a lot based upon race, you know. So just kind of hearing that was eye-opening, and again, it's just about hearing the other side and understanding where they're coming from.
Okay. Max, did you think of an example?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Sir.
Yeah. Yeah, one time at work, I remember I was kind of new, so I was fresh and had a little ego with my knowledge. So I came into a meeting like in the first month I was there, and then they were discussing something about networking, and I told them we have to do this one and this one because this is how it is. And then he like sit down for a second and just open your mind and just travel with me on my thought process. And then, you know, when he did that, and you go through it little by little, it like, oh wow, really? Yes, I was able to see his view on it. So it's just a matter that you have to try to. You're not always going to get other people views. You have to try and get it. You have to work at it, and most people don't like the work.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So it says one of the greatest tragedies of the age of struggle and money is struggling for money is that so few people are engaged in the effort that they like the best. So in short, pretty much he's saying like people are doing things that they don't really like to do, and because they're doing things they don't like to do, they're struggling to make money. And so the next part of this that we go into, there's a lot of self-assessment. He's going to ask you guys a lot of questions, and you're just going to be honest and share, you know, and you don't have to share any of your personal answers with the group. Again, it's introspective. But if you find something that's like a revelation for you or a huge takeaway, please, you know, because we're all here together, right? Like going through the experience, no one here, we all agreed to be 8s and above, sitting here 7s and 8s. And I believe Michael would contest he's a 7 or 8 as well. Obviously, we're all receiving new information, and some of it we've heard, some of it we never heard before, and some of it's going to challenge our belief systems, but we at least have to be willing to say, well, what if that were true? What if this were a possibility? How would I be able to look at things differently? What if I stepped into the other person's shoes? And I think being able to have that type of mindset to receive information without judging it because you don't know it or you don't understand it or something you weren't taught is huge. It's probably one of the hardest things for people to do. And so next week, we're going to read until, and I'm going to take a picture of it as well. It's called Finding Your Life's Work. And I'm extremely excited. This past week's reading was delightful on so many levels. I sat on my couch and I was like a kid in a candy store. I said I was only going to do 1 hour, but I just literally finished it out because I really enjoyed it so very much. And I hope you guys are having the same experience. And I think this week is going to be even better. And I'm enjoying you guys. I'm enjoying our conversations. One of the things I do want to implement is I want everyone to come up with at least one question from their reading this week to ask the group. This way we're all, and as you're reading the information, come up with questions, you know, pose questions to the group, things that maybe you are like, what about this? Or do they see it my way? And if not, why, right? Or I think it's this way. And so I love you guys very much. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys. And so I will post everything on the group. But you guys did an incredible job this evening. And thank you so much for your time, you guys. And I will see you guys next Sunday, same bat channel.
All right. have a good
Thank you, Ms. Witherspoon.
Night,
night.
night.
See you, Mac and Justin.